Hello everybody, it's Larry and welcome to today's video. Merry Christmas or Christmas Eve to everybody watching today. And wow, that's the words that I'm going to use to describe this video. Make sure you stay to the end. This one is a paradigm changing, dogma shattering video. And you heard it here first. And this isn't the last you're going to hear of this. I'm sure of that. All right, so we had the ethnicity estimates come out from Ancestry and FTDNA and everybody out back September, October. And October rolled around, nothing came out. November, nothing. December almost ended. Here we are, Christmas Eve. And what a present we've gotten from MyHeritage. Now, I'm just going to kind of take you through the steps. I got the notification that the new ethnicity update had come out. And I'm going to tell you, I was excited. And I had seen the math behind the scenes. I saw their presentation of what they were doing. And I was just so excited to see it. And I kept contacting them. Like, is it going to come out now? It's very soon. Coming out now? Very soon. When now? Very soon. And it kept being very soon, October, November, December. I was like, guys, maybe we here in the United States have a different concept of very soon. So what does very soon mean over there? Well, it came out. And so to say that I was excited to see my new ethnicity update, especially after, the update that Ancestry and FTDNA had, is just, that's minimal. I mean, I no matter what I say, it was minimal compared to the way it really was. So excited. So I'm going to take you through it exactly as I saw it. So I came to MyHeritage, I logged in, and I'm just going to make this full screen. And I click on DNA, and it says ethnicity estimate updated. All right, see? Oh, I clicked on something too quick. Updated ethnicity estimate. All right, so here comes my new ethnicity update. Wait a minute. 99 and 1? That's what I was before. Well, wait a minute. Okay, maybe English, Middle Eastern. It's exactly the same. What's that? And then I realized that MyHeritage is changing the rules on ethnicity. And it is awesome, folks. It is awesome. So let me just take a little bit of time here to say, and we've talked about this in previous videos, when you say that you have this ethnicity or that ethnicity, and you're using terms like Scottish and Irish, German and French, Spanish, Portuguese, Italian, all these things, African, Asian, Chinese, Filipino, that's not fair to history. It's not accurate to history. And I am about accuracy. And as you're going to know when I do the other video on African American genealogy in the United States of America and in America, and those are 4 different things. When you understand that I'm parsing for accuracy, you kind of get an idea of exactly what's going on here. So I looked at this and I was like, 99 and 1, what's changed? Well, they're touting this genetic groups like it's something special. So, and they took an extra 3 months. So either the people at MyHeritage just aren't any good, or they've been working an extra 3 months because they've changed the rules of the game. And that's what they've done, and I'm going to show it to you right now. And I'm going to show you how they've changed it. See right here, it says Eastern and Midwestern USA. It's one of my genetic groups. I've got 3 genetic groups. Now, most of you are going to have a slider right here, and I'll show you that slider, but it's actually, I had to go into my mom's account to show you the slider because my account doesn't have the slider, because this account was grandfathered in because it was so old that it got the tools, but the slider didn't come there. My mom's account, I actually paid the full price of $29 for all the tools, and hers has the slider. So you'll get a slider here that you can slide and say, okay, how much degree of confidence do I want my genetic groups? Do I want a almost certain, I want middle, or I want any that you think are possible? And the slider goes to those three notches. So most of you will have the three notches. If you're like me, you may not have it. I don't have it here. And I don't know whether it's because I don't have but two ethnicities, and one's 99% and the other's 1, and there's only so many subgroups here. Don't know. But I know on hers, she has 5 subgroups here, but if I slide it to high, she gets 2. Slide it all the way out, she gets 7. So it can vary. And so for most, right under where it says your ethnicity results, you'll have a slider, and that's the confidence level for these groups. But I'm going to take this group, and now we're going to venture back in history. Now, see right here where it says time period? There's a drop down. And you can step through history every 50 years. 1600, 1650, 1650, 1700, all the way up to basically modern times, 1950 to 2000. But I'm going to leave it here because, when we're talking about ethnicities, we're talking about our ancestors, right? Now, notice it said that my ethnicity was 99% English, 1% Middle Eastern. But when I come here to 1650 for that group, there's no Middle Eastern here. And let's look a little closer here. There's a whole lot in Norway and Sweden, Denmark. And see, Ancestry says, hey, Larry, you've got this much Norway, this much Sweden, this much Denmark. And that is right to what it shows here. And Ancestry also says I have 2% German, which it shows here. See the Netherlands and France, it's like that, because Ancestry doesn't have me with any in France, and it's Italy. Then it dawned on me what MyHeritage has done. And then I reread their press release. And folks, the game is changing, and this is the leading edge. And I love any time that we change paradigms and shatter dogmas with accurate information. And this is accurate. And this is amazing what they've done. Because let's look, for instance, at Germany. Here's the borders of Germany. You say, okay, well, if you have ancestors in this area, you have German ancestry. Well, what about East Francia, or the Ottoman Empire, or Prussia, or the Holy Roman Empire, or the German Confederation, the Austrian German Confederation? So, at different points, the boundaries went over into here in different places. And even into France, and France even extended up. France lost this territory at one time, got it back. So it depends on what year. So if you look at these current borders like we have now, and we visualize these borders, well, you have to look that, after Napoleon, France, as we see it today, it was incorporated under its current government and boundaries, in the 1800s. Same with Germany. And you think about, well, my ethnicity, I'm talking further back, right? Hundreds of years to before the United States, because otherwise my ethnicity is United States of America. So if you don't take me back before 1776, then you're not giving me ancestry, you're just giving me the modern migration patterns. So it's implied, if you're from the United States, that ethnicity has to be pre-1700. And so when you're looking at this, you get to see where your family was genetically. Now, this isn't based on my tree. This is not based on DNA matches. This is based on my genetic code in my DNA as it matches people in the regions for these time periods. That is incredible, because the same way that you can make up an ethnicity by saying, here are the people in these areas, and let's say like in Scotland, I got this hot spot in Scotland, Northern Ireland, and England and Wales, and say, okay, well, I match genetically these people in Scotland, therefore I'm Scottish, I'm a percent of Scottish. My DNA shows so many repeatings and says I'm Scottish. What about before Scotland existed? What about before England? What about before Germany and before France? What about the Kingdom of Aragon, Castile? All these different places in the period of history. So if my ancestors were from this area that later became known as the Scots, we say, well, Scots were descendant of Celts, the Gaelic Celts. Well, what about the Celts? What about where in here is the Celtic ethnicity? Which one of these countries? So we don't represent it as that. We've broken it into Scotland, Ireland, Wales, and England. But those that migrated southwest into Spain and Portugal, I had a viewer. She is in Mexico, and her family's been in Mexico for over 500 years. And her previous ethnicity report showed that she was Spanish, which made sense, Spanish and Mexican. And then now it says that she's 22% Scottish. And that's because the repeating patterns match that Celtic that went through Portugal and Spain up into Central Europe, which also matched the people that went up into the Isles of Britain, Wales, Scotland, and Ireland. And so that kind of tells you some of the problems when you start identifying countries with ethnicities and not paying attention to the timeline of when these countries existed. Because saying that somebody was from Mexico and that they've been from Mexico for 500 years, that's also a misnomer, because Mexico was incorporated as its modern country in 1824. So to say that they've been, that's kind of like saying the United States, in 1776. So if you're going to say somebody's Mexican, then why aren't you saying they're United States of American or Texan or Oklahoman or Californian or something? Because, these areas have been around for longer than the country of Mexico. And so, you have to pay attention to these borders. And what this has done, what MyHeritage has done with their ethnicity report, is they've disregarded the borders and placed your DNA on the map genetically, the same way Ancestry has done. I mean, Ancestry has gone and they said, okay, you got this much in Norway, this much in Sweden, this much in Germany, this much in Wales, England, Scotland, Ireland. And they made some assumptions about, Scotland, Ireland based on the Celt. And, the others have given me other ethnicity numbers. But this is incredible. And reread it, and MyHeritage has also said that this whole concept that we're using now of these ethnicities is an incorrect and outmoded mindset. And it's right, because the borders were not the same. Okay? So, they're based in Israel, the modern country, 1947. Well, that totally disregards the history of the Palestinians before that and the Jews before that, and the different ethnicities that made up the area. And so you look around the world and these borders all change. So we've got to be looking at this as two things. One, what's the time frame? And I've said that in many videos when we talk about ethnicity, that each company used a different time frame. Well, now MyHeritage has applied the intelligence, and they said, here's the modern time frame, and here's the time frames all the way back to 1600s. And now they can actually project and say, okay, in the different years, let's say I was going to go back and get this one. I could say in these years, you've got so much in the United States and so much in the other countries. 1%, the United States of America didn't exist here. So, 1% British colonies or 3% British colonies. And then Switzerland, Germany, Netherlands, France, Denmark, Spain, Portugal, Malta, Serbia, or Hungary, it looks like over here. And, you can go to the different places around the world and get it. So, is this accurate, or did they just make crap up? Because that's really what we want to know. And so I was like, how can we know? I mean, MyHeritage is saying this is my DNA. I can't run this against a big database. I don't have a big database here at my house to compare against. So, and they don't have the biggest database. Ancestry's got a bigger one. 23andMe's got a huge one. So where do they fit in this? Well, Let's check it out. Let's compare this to the DNA matches from Ancestry. Now, remember, this is the modern period. So this should give me a pretty decent representation of my current match list, right? So if I go over to Ancestry, and we're going to go to DNA matches, and I'm going to change it to list view, okay, our map view from list. I don't want to see the list of people. I want a map. And remember we talked about how to get to the map view. You just click on the map view instead of list. So let's take a look at this. Right here in California, starting on the West Coast, we got 12, 14, 13, 13. We got a little hot spot right here. Come over here, look at right there, there's a hot spot. Now we get some here, Seattle and in. Look at that, Seattle, Oregon coming in. And then we got Oklahoma, super hot spot with some in Texas, a little bleed into Arkansas there. 26 in Oklahoma, 16, 20, with 12 going into Arkansas. Come up here, right here, the Great Lakes, from the tip of this lake, over here from these lakes, there's a warm spot right there. So we're going to look right in there. 15, 15, 10, and 11. We got the eastern seaboard. We got a hot spot right in here. Look here, 7, 9, 12, 11, 22. So we've got the hot spots here. This matches my current DNA list. Now, if I zoom in more, I can even tell more. Okay, so I got a little warm spot here in Colorado. Look at right there. 10 in Colorado. This is pretty incredible, folks. Now, to me, it's only accurate if it's completely accurate. Well, see this in Canada, in Saskatchewan, up here in Alaska? I don't see anything here in Saskatchewan or in Alaska. So, where else did I not see something? I came down here. Look at this in Australia. Wait a minute. Do I have anything in Australia here? There's nothing in Australia. So maybe this is not accurate. But wait, I have my mother's DNA. Let's check mom's, because she's got stronger strands and ties further back than I would. Okay? Because remember, that cut off in 2000. Look here. Now, this said in Saskatchewan, but looky here. It's over a province, but it's in Canada. It's over here in next one over where it's got some soft spots here. Look here in Alaska. Got it in Alaska. Now this is what's really incredible. Honolulu, Hawaii. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, major groupings. Let's go over here to Hawaii. Mahalo to the viewers in Hawaii. Look at that. Mom's got 1 here and 2 here. When we looked at my test, we go to Hawaii. I actually have 2 on the Big Islands there. Watch this. Look at there by Honolulu. So I've got 2 on this. Look at that. Folks, if that doesn't give you chills, I don't know what will. When you're looking at this kind of information and you can verify it with a third party, you can only come to 2 conclusions. 1, they had access to Ancestry's DNA database, the entire database, as well as their own, and use that current match list to create this list. Or B, they did exactly what their math showed they were doing, showed the migratory patterns of those with my DNA, and traced it backwards through time to where it originated. That is incredible. Now, the next thing I was going to say is, now that you track that back in time like that, it's going to revisit your whole concept of ethnicities. Because, these countries didn't exist with these borders. So if I have family right here, are they France? Are they Germany? Or are they right here, Switzerland? Maybe Austrian. What country are you going to put some of these family members in if you're going to give them these ethnicities? You're going to have to do it by time period. So by using that segment of time for years, your ethnicity would change. If you get a DNA test 300 years from today, are you going to show you're from Texas or Oklahoma or, maybe Tennessee? Or is your ethnicity going to be Scottish or Irish? And that's kind of the thing. It's like, how far back in history do you go? And when you go that way, if they went from, let's say, France and they went over on to the English Isles and took a boat over, or went on up into Scotland, Ireland, and then came over, are they then English, Scottish, Irish, Celtic? Were they the Vikings that came across and then the descendants came across to the United States? So you have all of these possibilities. Well, if we're matching it genetically, we're now going to be accurate to a time period, to a location, which is completely independent of modern borders. Now, you can take the modern borders and say, okay, based on modern borders, your ethnicity would be considered this. But like Czechoslovakia, it's now Czech and Slovakia. So if you were on one side or the other, well, there's a very distinct difference. And so, you wouldn't want to call it Czechoslovakia, which would be the term in the 80s, but in modern terms, that wouldn't be it. So, as the borders change, and we redefine ethnicities, it's always going to be fluid. So I like the approach that MyHeritage has done. They've taken these genetic groupings, they've left them under the main groupings for now, and it even says that in their release. They've left them under here for now because at some point you have to just kind of draw a line under it and call it good, and then release it, and then work on your next iteration. So in 2021, they're going to come out with a new ethnicity update, and I am excited. I mean, I want it now. Come on, Rand. I want to see it now. This is impressive. This is absolutely impressive, and it's the way we need to be thinking about it. I've talked about this in previous videos and said, the borders change, and so it's a snapshot. When people say, well, my ethnicity is this, but it says I'm that, and then you look and the borders have changed, kind of like we talked about the counties and state borders inside the United States change. Same way in Europe and in Africa and in Asia and all around the world, the borders changed, and they are fluid, and the ethnic areas and the regions, there was slight migrations even within geographic reasons for water and other reasons. So when you look at that, that is big. And I think for the first time, we're going to be able to more accurately estimate, like the African ancestries and the Native American ancestries. I think we're going to be able to do that in some ways that we've never, ever done before as well. So that's really exciting to me. But folks, this is it. It's the new MyHeritage ethnicity update. It's not like any ethnicity update that you've ever seen before, and they didn't really mess with the ethnicities too much. They left them, but you'll have the groupings underneath. You can come down here and see all available regions, and Balkan. My mom has the Balkans, and there's 53 genetic groups underneath that. Ashkenazi Jews, 24 groups underneath that, 254 under English. 67 on East European, Finnish, that's interesting, Finland, wow, 54 genetic groups underneath Finland. Greek and South Italian, 101 genetic groups. Iberian Peninsula, 154 groups. Irish, Scottish, and Welsh, 155 genetic groups. I'm not in any of those yet, but I think I will be. when they get the new update. So that's what I'm really looking forward to. And the Scandinavian groups, I mean, it shows me there. And I think it's just a matter of, hey, we have to, draw a line here. We have to release it. We promised we'd release it in 2020. And so it's Christmas Eve, so they had to release it. Now, can you see this for free? Well, if you've had your DNA already uploaded to MyHeritage, I believe it was before either 2016 or 2018. I think 2018. I'll have to confirm this. But then you would get it free. But if, you didn't have your DNA up there and you weren't, grandfathered in as already having the tools, then you will have to unlock the DNA tools and accessories in order to see this. So if you haven't used the promo code that they've given us special for this channel, the promo code is UploadLarry, all one word. You use that in the checkout field where you purchase for the DNA tools to unlock it. It changes it from $29 to $15. If you haven't taken your DNA from the other sources, 23andMe, FTDNA, Ancestry, and downloaded a copy of that raw data and uploaded it to MyHeritage yet, you're missing out. And next year, we're going to be doing videos on these tools, and they're going to help break walls and do things like you've never imagined. And so you're going to want that, and you're going to save $15, save half of the money. You can get 2 for 1. For the $29, you can do yours and your spouse's or another family member's. This is a great deal, a special one they gave for us. So don't miss out on that, folks. Don't miss out. And when they do the update, oh wow, I can only imagine it's going to be the best thing that's ever come out. And as you look around the world, I mean, look at this: 147 genetic groups, Nigeria. Folks, that's huge because most of the migrations from and towards the United States were from these regions. Okay, that's going to be a huge update for people doing African and African American ancestry. This is big. South American. Now, Native American, it's only got the one subgroup. That's interesting. I should upload my daughters here and see what she gets. I should do that right now anyway. Unlock it while it's cheap. Southeast Asian, you can see all these groups from around. Inuit. So that's interesting here. I wonder if that Canadian one was Inuit. That was on my mom's. No, because it showed it under English for mine, so it wouldn't be. Anyway, so there you have it. That's the new MyHeritage update. Hope you enjoyed it. I hope you really sink your teeth into this. Let's prove it wrong, folks. Let's really dig into this hard and help them improve this, because they're changing the way we look at ethnicity. They're changing it in the right direction. And, I think that we need to help them and cross-check. It's like multiplication. 3 times 7 is 21, but if you can't divide it by 7 and get 3, something's wrong here. So let's help them and, give them feedback. If you have some anomalies in yours, leave it down in the comments below. Don't forget to like the video. If you haven't subscribed already, don't forget to subscribe, because remember, this is the last day Santa's checking on the naughty list, and you're probably on the naughty list if you haven't clicked subscribe already. Just saying. Anyway, don't forget to subscribe. Click the bell notification so you'll be notified when the videos come out. And as always, folks, I appreciate you. Happy New Year. There'll be another video coming because Ancestry's released some of their special stuff too. But right now, this is MyHeritage's moment. They're changing the way we look at ethnicity for the better, and I'm excited. A little disappointed that I'm still 99-1, but the information it's given me is so accurate that I cannot wait for the 2021 release. We'll talk to you soon.